time. Jodie's been a consultant at the Illawarra TAFE for a while and a teacher as well. And she's also a member of the South Pacific Educators in Vision Impairment Committee. Jodie's been recognised by Vision Australia, receiving its Make a Difference Award and also receiving the TAFE Illawarra Institute Directors Award. She was diagnosed with rod cone dystrophy at 16 years old. Now she's totally blind, but she's here today to share some must-haves and must-dos with all of you when it comes to becoming independent. So I'd like to introduce Jodie.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, I'm just getting organised. Is that close enough? Can you hear me? No? Okay. Is that better? Yep. Okay. So, welcome. I was really excited to be invited to come and speak to you today. I'm really, really passionate about pathways for people who are blind or vision impaired through training and study and ultimately having really positive employment outcomes. So today, I want to talk about undies. Just so I know, the young people that are here today, can you guys all just sort of say hi and I get an idea of where you... Yep, there, right. All right, just say that I'm connecting with you in particular. I did have a formal presentation prepared, but after listening to the different conversations that have been going on today, and also because I can't connect my Bluetooth speaker to my device, and I have presented this in a format before, but I actually want to, I suppose, modify it to, I think, best meet the needs, aspirations, and of the people that are here, and hopefully also to give some advice based on my own experience. I'm going to eat this thing if I'm not careful. Okay. Yeah? Is that better? Oh, good. Okay. I mean, I'm constantly being told to turn off my teacher voice at home, so I do believe I can project my voice if required. Okay, so Matt, was Matt introducing me? Yep. Greg, right. Matt, right. Okay, so I was diagnosed with a number of different conditions until they worked out what I might have a number of years ago now, and we've settled on rod cone dystrophy, which is in the family of retinitis pigmentosa, and I can live with that. I had no preparation or notice that I was going to end up living with the retinal disease. At no family history. Mum gets really upset when I say I'm the mutant gene of the family. I kind of think it's funny. But I think I've got a different sense of humour than Mum. But when I was at school, I was just one of the regular kids at school, loved drama and really loved drama. Have been known to be a drama queen. And... just involved like everybody else. And so when I started having vision difficulties, mainly playing sport, I was really athletic and, missing the basketball, not seeing the softball. So I wasn't hitting the ball very well anymore. And I was short-sighted and wore glasses. So it was like, Jodie, put your glasses on, because Jodie didn't like wearing her glasses. And when that didn't seem to solve the issues, we mentioned it to, my optometrist, and they did a field vision test and went, holy crap. And the roller coaster started from there. And I was 15. I was diagnosed and legally blind by the time I was 16, totally blind by the time I was 30. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am because hopefully I'm younger than you think, older than you think. But so I do appreciate the issues that can face teenagers when their mates are getting their driver's licenses, when they don't have to spend all of the extra time that, you have to in getting through the same amount of reading. And for me, and thinking about a question from this morning's session, I was being taken out of classes that were actually quite important classes like math to learn Braille. One of my wishes or regrets was that if I had been diagnosed earlier, I would have learned Braille earlier. So my Braille skills are pretty crappy, and certainly after having some great conversation today, it is a skill that I still need to work on and develop so that I'm able to achieve my goals that I have for my future pathway. Okay, so let's get back to undies. Why do you think I'm talking about undies? What's important about undies? Like, how important are they?
Hopefully you choose to put on a fresh pair each day.
Well, that's true. Let me ask you this then. What would happen if you were packing your suitcase, you were going on a holiday, especially if it was a school camp, and you forgot your undies? Yeah. Panic, embarrassment, I want to go home, trying to see if you can discreetly borrow some. Yeah. How many mums are constantly reminding our children and husbands when we are packing, have you packed your undies? I do get into trouble from my nearly 17-year-old when I say, have you packed your undies? Mum, I have. I just need to check. If we start to think about the importance of the basic item of underpants and how important it is to us to remember to wear them, most of the time we won't go down the other road, we can start to maybe equate undies to essential skills. So when we start to think about the suitcase of skills that are really important to have packed and ready to go by the time that you leave school, you might start to see how I've related those sorts of skills to an essential piece or garment such as undies. Okay. So I'm going to expand upon and probably give personal perspective on some of the areas that one of the workshops this afternoon was touching on with Vision Australia. I didn't get a chance to see all of the presentation and I didn't get to the other two. But things like time management, independent travel, personal presentation, communication skills, organisation skills, knowing what you need. Those are the sorts of skills I'm talking about when I'm referring to the essential items that need to be packed in your suitcase of skills to have a successful adult life. I am rotten at time management. I am still working on my time management skills. And for me, time management is a very big deal. In the job that I have at TAFE, I'm a teacher consultant, so I actually organise the support for students who are blind or vision impaired that come to my TAFE Institute. I have to do a lot of travel. I need to use a lot of technology. I need to be able to teach. I need to be able to support the teachers. And most importantly, I'm there to support the students. So I need to be very organised and have good time management skills. So one of the things for me that helped me enormously in working out the best way for me to personally manage my own diary was my iPhone. So, and I say to anybody that cares to listen that apart from Braille, because to me Braille is always my default, and there's certainly times when Braille is what is going to be the quickest and easiest way for me to access my filing system, where I store student documents, or if I'm labelling a stack of thumb drives or keys, it's Braille that I default to. I say to people that my iPhone has been the most liberating piece of technology I've ever used in my life. And it's through the iPhone that I've been able to develop, through various apps and trial and error, much better organisation skills that I can do by myself independently without the need of another pair of working eyes, or my clerical, whoever seems to be around at the time. And that makes me more in control of what I do, who I meet with, and that is something that is really important to everybody. We want to be in control of our own lives. So for me, that's what works. So it's really important by the time you leave school that you have a really well-tested system of being organised and being able to allocate time to do different tasks, because that is an essential skill for further study and when you're working. I want to really talk about communication. And again, it's been touched on at various points of today, that communication is really essential. And I'm not talking about, everybody needing to be not so much outspoken, but, extrovert out there. Hi, how are you? I'm Jodie, and sort of make that first connection. Because if you're shy, you're shy. It has no impact. Like being blind or vision impaired isn't going to change the fact that some people are shy and some people are not. What I'm talking about, though, is that the reality for you guys and for me and for a number of other people in this room is that we live in a sighted world. And whether we like it or not, and I feel quite strongly about this because I've seen it over and over again, you need to be able to communicate and have an understanding of body language. Doesn't mean you're always going to pick up on body language. I miss it all the time. And that can get me into a little bit of trouble. I sometimes have serious foot seriously shoved down throat syndrome because I haven't reminded myself to ask who was in hearing vicinity of what I was talking about. So I do suggest it's always important that you know who you are talking with. But when I'm talking about communication, it's holding your head up, making sure that you're facing the person that you're talking to. One of the things that is quite critical, and I actually think this is the main reason that I was able to get the job that I'm in now, was the way I presented myself in the interview. Because at the end of the day, there's lots of questions that people might want to ask you, but for whatever reason feel that they can't in an interview. And ultimately is, how the hell are you going to do this job because you can't see? That's what they really want to know. Now, one of the first things, and I can't remember who said it today, but 80% of that interaction with people is how you act. So if someone is talking to you, you need to face them. It doesn't matter that you can't see them, but face them, because that's what they expect. And that's the general way that people communicate. And standing up nice and tall, or sitting up nice and straight, shoulders back, so that you need to learn the sorts of body language that says, hey, this is me, this is what I can do, I really want to do this, and I think I'll be great working with you. Or I'll be, if you're in the classroom, it encourages the teacher to say, hey, Jodie is really looking interested and really looks like she's listening. I do have a habit of dropping my chin, particularly if I'm listening to a device. Or I can be gazing up to the ceiling because I'm listening to my device and suddenly think my neck's really sore. I don't know about you, but I do have pretty crappy posture. But when I'm talking with people, I focus very much on where they are. I follow their voices if they move around, and only get caught out from time to time when they might very quietly sit down and I'm still talking to where they were standing until they speak again, and you go, oh, okay, and you just laugh it off. But honestly, it's a really important skill to have in your suitcase. It ties in with something that, and my dear friend Kylie, who's in the audience and brought me up here from Narrow today, will recognise. And we've sort of coined it, knowing your pitch. All right, you need to have a selling point. And this is particularly when you are even putting your hand up to volunteer, to get some work experience. You need to be able to communicate well and say, you know what, I bet you're wondering how I can do this job. And it's what I did with my job. At the last question was, have you got anything you would like to add? And that's your key, where you jump in and go, well, actually, yes, I'm sure you're wondering how I can really do this job, and I'm going to tell you. So that means that you need to know what you need. You need to know what technology works for you and where you can get it from, because an employer's not going to know. So I didn't quite know some of that information, but what I was able to say was, well, I know I have to travel a lot in this job, and this is how I thought I would be able to deal with that aspect of the position. And did you know that there's access technology that makes a computer talk? And so I can use these applications really effectively using the screen reader software. And I even took in a couple of just talking devices just to show them how things actually work. And I do believe that it was the fact that I had a pitch, that I communicated well, that I got the job. And I went out to my husband afterwards, after the interview, and he said, how did you go? And I said, well, they're either going to say she is way too much trouble, or they're going to say, let's have her. And I got the job. And I didn't think that I would, and I was quite surprised that I did, but it was very exciting. And I've been in that job now for 19 years. Yeah. So when we're talking about undies and skills, another skill is independent travel. Now, I know that sometimes learning new environments and travelling independently can be pretty scary. And it is important that you plan well. You allow enough time to learn things like, a new campus, if you're going on and studying at TAFE or at university. Making sure that you know that you can get to and fro from a place safely and in time. And finding things out beforehand, like, well, where can I toilet my dog? Or, do I have all of the right gear to get around in that environment? And honestly, independent travel is such a critical element of being an independent adult. There's really cool canes too now. I want a hot pink one. It's like, I heard this morning someone's got a hot pink one. It's like, yeah, I want one of them. So, it is important. If you end up using a guide dog or a dog guide, then again, it's making sure that the people that you're going to interact with know the way you would like people to interact with you and your dog as well. And being brave enough sometimes to say, please don't pet my dog. And sometimes we just simply have to be brave. How many times have you felt that you just needed to be brave about not being able to see so well? Yeah? And sometimes it takes courage to do something by yourself for the first time. Do you think? Yeah? Thank you. How many of you know how to problem solve a situation? If you are out by yourself and you get lost, what do? Call out some answers. Yep, check a map. Yeah, go for it. What else?
Call out for help.
Yep.
Get your iPhone, look at the Google Maps, and then press the audio.
Excellent. Great. Some great problem-solving skills. Yep. Someone else have something? I'll tell you a little story. At a campus that I was based at a number of years ago, I could walk down to the mall and I had to cross a 4-lane highway, and in between, the two sets of lanes was a little island with two different facing traffic lights. They both had beepers on them, so you'd have beepers going off in your left ear and your right ear. And it seriously felt like you were just on, the size of a handkerchief, this bit of concrete. And I was using my cane. And somehow I got disorientated on this little tiny piece of concrete. I'm like, I don't know which way I'm facing. And I felt like such a goose. So I started to laugh because it was just so ridiculous. And I got to a point where a lady who had pulled up, she actually opened the door. She said, "Are you okay?" And I went, "Yeah, I'm just a bit lost on this little piece of concrete, but now that you've spoken to me, I'm fine, thank you." So I just, for the life of me, I could not work out where I was. And I mean, it was ridiculous. Now, 15 years ago, if that had have happened, I actually would have been very angry with myself because I expect a lot of myself. I would have been highly embarrassed that people had seen me look like a goose because I was obviously disorientated on this little tiny piece of concrete. And I would have been really angry about my vision because it was because of the sight loss that had caused me to feel all of these other emotions. So I'm really glad it didn't happen 15 years ago prior to that, because now it's like, well, I can just problem solve. Worst case scenario, I pull out my phone and I ring someone. I got lost in my street one day and I was actually using my guide dog and I hadn't had her for very long and it was pouring with rain and I still had some light perception then and it was dark, so I couldn't rely on the light perception. And I knew I was in my street and I was walking in the gutter because the grass was really soggy and wet, and I felt my dog veer off to the left and I thought it was too soon. So I said, no, straight on, come on. And I've got an umbrella, so that was masking all the sound because of rain on the umbrella, and the guide dog I felt was not doing her job properly because she was only new, and I ended up at the end of the street. And I worked out I was at the end of the street, so I thought I'd better get off the road. So I got up onto the grass and ended up in ankle-deep puddles of water. I thought, this is just stupid. So I rang my husband and I said, I'm somewhere in this rotten street. I don't know where I am. Come and find me. So he came out absolutely laughing hysterically that I got lost in my street. Now, I think that's a funny story. And the reason I'm sharing that with you is that it's really important not to get frazzled and upset if you get disorientated. Because as soon as you do, you forget what to do to get out of the situation. And you can feel yourself panicking and your anxiety rising, and it can become a very stressful and unsettling situation. And it could also influence you having another go, doing something independently. If you can breathe, and I still have to breathe sometimes, 3 nice, big, deep, slow breaths. Do them with me now, come on. It's 1, 2, 3. Now, for those of you that aren't going dizzy and hyperventilating, it's a really good way to focus, calm down, and go, what do I need to do? So if you do find yourself in a situation where you get disorientated, you're not quite sure what to do, and you can start to feel yourself panicking, 3 deep breaths. And then I'd pull out your phone. Okay, so independent travel is going to make a huge difference in the choices that you're able to make in your adulthood. Do you agree with me? All right, so we've talked about time management and organisation and we've talked about independent travel. Now, again today, people have mentioned things like print access. It's really important that you know the best way to access print that works for you, because there will be times when you're going to be seeing people who are supplying print in whichever form, whether it's in a learning environment or a work environment, and you need to know what you need to do so that you can access that information. Do all of you know how to convert print into the format that is best for you in accessing information? So if you're a Braille user, do you know what to do to get information in Braille? Yeah? What about people that need digital information, electronic information? Do you know what you need to do to access that information? Have any of you been practicing at school, asking your teachers for an electronic version of a handout? Yeah, great. Awesome. Whilst certainly in post-secondary education, there are people like myself and certainly disability liaison officers and advisors at the universities as well. And it's certainly our job to ensure that you do have access to information in your preferred format. That's one of the things that we do. It's really important that you can actually self-negotiate, because we don't, or people like us are not around in the workplace. So you need to know what to ask for. And if you don't get it, you also need to know how to convert it. So in my workplace, they love sending image PDF files. All right, that's how information is moved around 14 different campuses. That drive me crazy. But I've worked out how to convert them myself. So I have an OCR, optical character recognition software, on my PC, so that if I'm using my PC, I'm able to then convert that document into something that I can read and then respond to. And I have the same on my iPhone, so that I've got apps that I can convert that image PDF into text, so that, again, my phone can read it out to me. Really, really important that you do know what format is best for you, how you're going to access that information, practice different ways of asking for that information, and being able to explain why. People don't understand why you can't read an image PDF, okay, because everybody reads image PDFs. So you need to practice just some key sentences that you can just pull out to assist other people in understanding why you need that information. And if people understand, 99.9% of the time, they're really happy to oblige. And it's also important that you've got the skills to convert the information yourself, because if you're on the fly and there's no time for someone else to do it for you or for them to resend it to you, then it's really important that you've got the skills to convert that information yourself. And it's hard because a lot of the time it's all done for you at school, right? Yeah? Hope you're not nodding. Okay. So it's really important then that when we're talking about the key skills, some people might call them blindness skills or blindness-specific skills or soft skills. I actually think that these are employability skills. You know, they are just as important as having the right training for the job that you're applying for, or the right grades for the course you're applying for. It's just as important as being able to use a library and research, just like all the other students, or being able to communicate effectively in the workplace, just like all of the other employees. And that's what this is about. I want to say that being blind or vision impaired doesn't make us special. All right? We've just got to suck some things up and get on with it just like everybody else. And being blind or vision impaired is also not an excuse. It's really important that whilst sometimes it can be convenient to pull the blind card out, and I certainly do it too, sometimes it just makes some things easier, like when you're getting a new phone number, 444, 111, nice easy numbers. It's really important that you maintain your own personal integrity. Does anybody know what that really means? What do you think? Personal integrity. What does that mean to you? Do you think maybe being true to yourself? Yeah? All right. And if you want to compete with everybody else in getting a job, because that's the reality, you are competing against all these other people, and being blind or vision impaired isn't going to give you extra scores. If anything, you have to work harder in trying to get the same jobs. That's why you need to have your pitch. Okay, so that's the reality. So I think that when we're talking about these skills, or undies, hopefully I won't have given you nightmares about, when your support teacher at school is talking about communication skills, you've got vision of undies. We're not talking about extra special skills that make us extra special. It's about enabling us to compete in the regular society that we live in and also participate in the various communities within our society to take on the same sorts of roles as anybody else. I was really sad when the statistics were being read out today in the areas where people who are blind or vision impaired tend to work. And most of those positions are entry-level positions. And I think there are two reasons for that. I think the first reason is that employers just have no idea what we are capable of, and that we are a massive untapped resource that could greatly enhance their business. Right, you should write that down. And secondly, because I think, and we sometimes are our own worst enemy, we underestimate our capability. And so do a lot of other people. I loved hearing words like passion and dreams and goals and have a go and just such wonderful, wonderful words and phrases. I tweeted a whole stack of them this morning. It was awesome. I probably drove people on my Twitter line crazy. Just, hashtag Safe Side Institute, blah, 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 blah. Hashtag Jodie Hoger again, Safe Side Institute. I should win that iTunes card. Okay, but it is really important that do not underestimate your capability. I talk about to people peeling back the onion. I was told by a career advisor for the visually handicapped, that was his title, when I was in year 11, after he told me I needed to repeat year 11, which was pretty tragic, when he said to me, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? And I said, I want to teach. I want to teach high school. I want to teach drama, of course, English and history. Now, his words to me, and these are burned into my heart, don't be so stupid. You'll never be able to do anything like that. Now, think about it. I was devastated. And now I'm a qualified teacher. I'm actually a head teacher. I do teach. I get to stand up in front of a captive audience. It's awesome. It's better than just teaching drama at high school where kids may not want to be there. But it was a long road. And I'm not teaching high school. I teach adults. But what I realised from my own experience is that the essence of what I wanted to do was to teach. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter if I was teaching little kids, although it probably did because I think I'd slit my wrists with little kids. I am a teacher, and I'm really, really proud to be a teacher. And I stick my thumb up at anybody. Probably not my thumb, actually, probably my finger. Or is it thumb my nose is what I was probably thinking of. Anyway, have very little regard for people like that career advisor who underestimate people like you and I. And I also learned that, and I do that, this is the way I operate with students that come and see me, you know, if they want to work in a career that might be really challenging because they are blind or vision impaired, we look at all of the options that there are in working in that industry that may not be specifically what they originally wanted to do, but it means that they are actually still following their dreams and their passions. And that's the key. So find your dreams, feel passionate, reach for the stars, and don't forget your undies.
Thank you. Well done, Jodie. Thank you very, very much. All right.
Did someone rescue me?
Yeah, someone, yeah, that's great. Fantastic. All right.